What's up, YouTube? Chibudz here with you. This is going to be a story about my bad trip. As I like to say, challenging trips now. But all of these videos, harm reduction, educational, spiritual awakening, purposes only. So, this was Mississippi. I was 18, just finished high school, and was visiting friends in Mississippi that I hadn't seen for over a year at least. Um, so we go out to the fields. My friends had picked them before. I had done mushrooms one time before this, and it was a very great experience the first time, but it was a very low dose looking back. Um, so this time we went out to the fields. We found some shrooms. I must have picked 4 or 5 myself, and each one of those average circumference was about, say, 3 inches across. These were massive mushrooms compared to any mushrooms I've had since. So I didn't know what they were, and they were different looking and everything, in every way, from the ones I'd had before. But I was cocky. I'd done acid at this point, done mushrooms. I was like, oh yeah, I can handle these ones. Um, so took them back to my friend's house, and I washed mine off and just ate them raw, just choked them down, just to get it over with. Um, I didn't know what he was doing with his. So, we're getting ready to head over to our other friend's house, and I start feeling a little bit hungry before the trip comes on, and I'm like, maybe I should eat something. And my friend had some stir fry sitting in the middle of the car in the console. So he's driving, and I see the stir fry, so I just start eating it. And he's driving, I'm eating, he's driving, and he looks over at me, and he goes, "Oh shit!" And I said, "What?" And he said, "Dude, I put my mushrooms in there." I was like, "Oh fuck." So, you know, obviously, some anxiety would work up at that point because I didn't know how much I had taken. We didn't measure anything. I didn't have a clue. So we get to my friend's house, and I'm like, okay, it'll be fine. And as soon as we get there, the guy that I came with, that initially I would have been starting the trip with, gets a call from his girlfriend, and she's freaking out, so he has to leave. So that already set the tone kind of off, because the friend that we were visiting didn't have a car. I didn't have a car, so we were just stuck there. Um, and then so I'm talking to his mom that I hadn't seen in over that time, the same year. And she's a very sweet lady, always been there for me. And as soon as she starts talking to me, she just shoots down the hallway. That is my hallucinations starting. There was no warning, there was no come up, it was just instant. She just flew down the hallway, and I knew what was happening. So I just calmly said to her, I said, I'm not feeling that great. I'm just going to go lay down in the bedroom. So I go lay down in the bedroom, and I'm on the couch, and there's just this thick layer of smoke on the ceiling. Now, my friend's mom didn't allow smoking in the house, so I knew this was part of the trip. And it was cool, and I was quite content and looking around, and my friend had posters of bands and stuff on the walls, and I don't remember what the bands were or who was in these posters, but there were some of them that were popping out and waving at me. But I was so overwhelmed, and like the body high and everything was just like so intense. I couldn't move. I wanted to go to the posters. I wanted to go talk to these people that were waving to me, but I couldn't move. Um, it was just too much. And so I'm just laying there, and I'm like, maybe I should just, go splash some water on my face. and stuff. So I go to the toilet, and in the bathroom, there's just bugs like crawling all over the toilet. And I know that it's just me, it's not really there. So I just ignore that, take a piss, get to the sink, wash my face off, and I look in the mirror, and I could see my skin just fall off my face in the mirror. So I could see my skull. And it didn't necessarily scare me. I thought it was cool, but it was intense. So I got out of there, went back to this couch because that was just felt like my safe zone. And I asked my friend for a bottle of water. And so I get the bottle of water, and before I could even open it, it just starts spraying out of the top. I mean, all over the place. And I know it's just a hallucination, so I just close my eyes and I just take a drink without thinking about it. Um, and at this point, I started hearing German, people speaking German, and I didn't know what was going on, but I could hear like that heart monitor, beep, beep, beep. I didn't know where it was coming from, what was going on, but I got this feeling like I was in a German hospital and that everything that I was seeing in my friend's bedroom was gone. That was the life that I was living, and it was gone. And somehow I was seeing that previous life, but I was actually in a hospital. And then the heart monitor went flat. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm dead. And at this point in my life, I had this fake pursuit of God. I had this misunderstanding of what God was to myself because I didn't ever have the chance to explore on my own. Uh, it was like a societal push towards this fake religion that I thought I knew. So that was like a crisis within itself during the trip because I was wearing a cross around my neck. And in the trip, I could feel this cross melting through my hands. And it was like the necklace was just dripping off of me. And in reality, the cross had actually broke as well, which I didn't know if that was real. I thought that I was still tripping. I thought that maybe that was part of the trip because I put that part of the cross into my pocket. You know, um, I'm a Christian now on a whole different level. I'm still learning things and still researching on my own and finding things that are very, very mind blowing. But yeah, back to the trip. Um, so, at this point, I think I'm dead. So I go, or I yell out to my friend. I'm calling his name, and he's not answering me for a while. And then I guess I must have just raised my voice, and he was like, "Yeah, what's up, dude?" And I was like, "I'm dead." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I died." And he's like, "Dude, just chill out. Come in here and watch TV with me. It's alright." Well, so I sit down in the living room and I look at the TV and he's watching like all this crazy stuff like car wrecks and people getting in accidents and stuff. And it's just like, well, I'm already dead. Like, I don't want to see everybody else dying. And like, that was just an internal thought, but I couldn't look away from it. It was like that was the only focus I could do, that I could focus in on. So luckily he changed the channel eventually, because I couldn't just tell him that because it's his house, and I felt real self insecure, and he changes the channel to Ed, Ed, and Eddie, which is a weird ass cartoon when you're sober. Um, but it was like the movements of the characters was just like too much. I couldn't even focus on what the story was, what was going on, because it's always a pursuit of money. I think every episode was a pursuit of money. They were always trying to get some money, which is like the story of my life, which has made me miserable. um, so it was all weird. TV has always been weird to me when I'm tripping. Um, then my friend comes back. Well, the one that took off earlier. So he comes back and everything changed. Just everything shifted. It was like back to ground and I could enjoy this world again. And I didn't think I was dead anymore. It was really strange. We went to the pool hall, shot some pool, was around public. I didn't feel like I couldn't be around people at that point. And I remember trying to shoot pool, and the balls were just spinning in place. Like, they didn't move in position on the table, but every time you looked at them, they would just start spinning. So you couldn't tell what number ball you were trying to go for. You could only see the color. And it was like, okay, well, we're obviously not going to call pockets on this. But it's very, very interesting. And I learned a lesson that don't underestimate the power of this stuff. And people are going to do this stuff recreationally, just out of curiosity, but be smart about it. Do some research. Follow your instincts. I mean, like, I really want to try DMT, but it's never been the right time, never been the right place. I've been offered it many times, but it's just never felt right. Um, and even now, I'm struggling because I don't really have a close knit of people that I feel are on this wavelength. So I've been just trying to take it easy for myself and do my own thing. But peace and love.